And welcome back to Couple Movie Watchers. Today we're going to break down the top 10 movies of the weekend. And of course, everybody want to know about Joker Beetlejuice. We're just going to call it Joker 2. Now, we've seen this movie this weekend. We might do a review on it. We might not. We'll see. But this movie was a major disappointment when it comes to the box office. This movie opened up to $39 million. Up to maybe $40 million. It's still up in the air, but this is considered a major disappointment for this movie. This movie has a budget of about $190 to $200 million, and people wasn't expecting this movie to open up that low at the domestic box office, especially with the success of Joker 1. But there is a bright spot when you look at the box office. Internationally, it kind of lived up to expectations, making about $80 million in about 76 territories. So in total, globally, it made about $121 million. So it did solid numbers when you look at the international box office. But the question is this movie going to have legs? Are people going to continue to support this movie? I'm going to say no. The part one made $1 billion. This one will be lucky if it makes $500 million. I can see kind of the same thing with like Captain Marvel 2 wasn't really successful. I can see the same thing with Joker 2. I haven't seen Captain Marvel 2, so I can't speak to that movie, which I probably need to see that movie at some point. But Joker 2, man, it's very frustrating when you talk about that movie because in essence, it's not necessarily a Joker movie. I would say it's more about, it's like a character movie. But I'm not going to really go into depth about the movie. I think if you want to see it, you should see it for yourself. But if you're a Joker fan, be prepared to have your heart broken. But if you're not a Joker fan, you just want to see a movie or out of curiosity, check it out. But go in there prepared to just go in there prepared. Just be prepared for what you're going to get. Yes, it's a musical. And they did some things in there that could basically break your heart if you're a Joker fan. But I would just say out of curiosity, you might want to see it or wait for streaming. But people will tell you what, we might do a spoiler review later today or this week and just kind of give our full thoughts about it. But so overall, Joker is the number one movie of the weekend. I expect it to be the number one movie possibly next week, but we'll see how the Pharrell movie does next week. Coming in at number 2 is a movie we recommend, and that is The Wild Robot. This movie made $18.7 million this weekend estimate, which is only a dip of 48%. In 2 weeks, it made about $63 million at the domestic box office. Definitely recommend checking out this movie if you haven't seen it yet. It's touching. It has a lot of heart. Coming in at number 3, we have Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. I just want to say Beetlejuice one more time. This movie made about $10 million at the domestic box office, which is only a dip of 36%, making around $265 million in total in week 5. I believe this is one of Tim Burton's highest grossing domestic box office films of all time. If not the highest, it looks like it will be at the end of this run. Overall, Beetlejuice was, fun movie for what it was, Don't expect like the greatest movie of all time, but it was a fun movie to check out. Coming in at number 4 is Transformers. I heard a lot of really good things about this movie. Unfortunately, when this movie came out, we were out of town and never had a chance to watch it. And this movie made $5.3 million this weekend, which is a drop of about 42%. In total, made $47 million in 3 weeks. Definitely trailing The Wild Robot, but from all accounts, both movies are really solid. Unfortunately, I feel like they're too similar. Too many robot movies all at once. I think Transformers or The Wild Robot would have benefited with a longer, like a delay, like a break between both films. Unfortunately, I think they were like only a week apart. So a week or 2 weeks apart, which is not enough room to really give you that breath to kind of really build, especially with Transformer 1. It kind of drops because The Wild Robot comes out. So you never had that chance to kind of have the audience kind of stay with it. Coming in at number 5 is Speak No Evil, which is actually a good time to probably watch this movie It's October, Halloween month. It made about $5.3 million. Actually, no, scrap that. It made about $2.8 million, which is only a dip of 33%, which is not too shabby for Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil was an interesting film. If you want to go to the movies, want something a little bit more non-superhero, non-cartoonish, Speak No Evil is it. This is more like a psychological thriller, no monsters in it. It made about $32 million in 4 weeks. All right, coming in at number 6 is Sam and Kobe, The Legends of Paranormal. To be honest, I never heard of this movie in my life. I probably should do some research and see if it's worth seeing. If anybody's seen this movie, let me know. This movie made about $1.7 million this weekend. In total, it made about $2.1 million. Yeah, nothing much to say about that. Next up, we have White Bird, making about $1.5 million. And I believe this movie's from Lionsgate. Lionsgate is doing pretty horrible this year. Anything that's not good has been coming out from Lionsgate. Next up, we have Deadpool and Wolverine coming in at number 8. Still holding strong in the top 10 after 11 weeks, making about $1.5 million, which is really solid, which is a drop of only 45%. In total, made $633 million. At this point, you probably should have seen this movie at the movie theaters. I'm surprised people haven't seen it yet, but if you haven't seen it, it is still worth watching. Hopefully, you can see it like on a big screen, where you really get that more impact of the film. Very fun, very enjoyable, but the spoilers are out there, so definitely worth watching. I've definitely seen it twice, actually, which I typically don't go to the movies to see any movie more than once. Next up, we have The Substance coming in at number 9, making about $1.3 million and only 34% drop from the previous weekend. This movie's been out for 3 weeks, making a grand total of $9.7 million estimate at the domestic box office. Let me know about Substance. I heard it's an interesting film. So if you've seen it, if you loved it, hated it, let me know. And coming in at number 10 is Megalopolis or Megalopolis. Lionsgate. That was the first sign. This movie dropped 73% about, which is horrible. Really feel bad for Francis Ford Coppola for putting his own money up, the majority of it, to make this film. But when you got $100 million, I guess you can't really feel bad for somebody that say, hey, I'm going to spend $100 million on a movie. You know, when the average person don't even have $1 million. When you have that type of money and you get to spend it on your dream and have it flop like this, it is what it is. So this movie made about $1 million this past weekend. In total, in 2 weeks, it made about $6 million. A lot of people I know who saw this film, I know 2 people who saw it. One person walked out and the other person said they liked where he was trying to go with the film, but overall it didn't work. So actually, this is a fun question. So anybody who's watching this, if you've seen Joker 2 or in Megalopolis, which movie was the better film? Which movie would you recommend if you had to pick one? Joker 2, Megalopolis. Both filmmakers seem like they did their own things, some big budget films. And actually, I think Megalopolis costs less than Joker 2, which is actually surprising. Joker 2 really, for the budget, they say it's the musical acts, but I don't think it was the musical acts. You look at the musical acts, it wasn't nothing spectacular. There wasn't dancing around. There wasn't these elaborate sets. I think a lot of that money for Joker 2 went in people's pockets. That would definitely be interesting to see, the breakdown of the budget, like how much actually went to. I heard I heard Lady Gaga made a lot of money on this film. I'm sure they had to pay Joaquin Phoenix a lot of money, or Joaquin, whatever his name is, and the director for this film. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the budget went to salaries, because the film has the same aesthetics as part 1 for the most part. So at most, I think if Joker 2 would have been a success if they were to spend roughly around the same budget. This movie never should have cost that much to make for a sequel. You should never push someone to do a movie they don't want to do. I know you want to make more money. At that point, you got to look at it and say, okay, if we're going to turn it into a musical, or this is going to be the budget, because no one asked for a musical with the Joker. And even then, like myself, I hate musicals, but I was willing to accept it because I was interested to see how it will be, because the commercials really hook you with the cinematography. The cinematography is really the star of this film. But if you're going to do a movie that people don't like musicals, you're going to butcher the character. you gotta lower the budget. Like you need someone in the room to say, "Hey, if you're gonna do this, then we're only gonna give you this." You know, you're not giving the people what they want. You're creating something. I'm not gonna say anymore. But anyway, that is the top 10 movies of the weekend. Let me know your thoughts. Have you seen any movies? Which movie would you recommend? Until next time, everybody. Peace.